Okay, so we're all still digesting what happened in Geneva, what was agreed to. And, I made a video earlier today about JD Vance's comments about Lebanon, which just blew me away. I'm still kind of recovering from them. What I want to do in this video is take a look at how the Iranians themselves are talking about what happened. How do they understand where things stand? What is their regime media saying? And maybe there's some truth to what they're saying. Who knows? But we're going to get started with this. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at a clip of Vice President J.D. Vance talking about what was accomplished, because there's one thing that he says in there that I want to focus on. It's about a 2-minute clip. Is it up on the screen yet? Did I pull it up? No, I did not. Add it to the stage. Here we go. And J.D. Vance.
So look, yesterday was a very, very good day. We made a lot of good progress. We did exactly what we wanted to do, which is accomplish 4 things for the American people. First, we wanted to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. It is open. We've seen, of course, gas prices and oil prices come down, millions and millions of barrels of crude and natural gas flowing through the Strait of Hormuz that weren't flowing before. But we also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can make sure we work through them rather than that leading to escalation. And that is exactly what we did yesterday. Number 2, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism for deconfliction for the regional ceasefire. As the President of the United States has himself said, sometimes these ceasefires just mean you're shooting a little bit less, but we wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies and everybody else. We set that up as well. Number 3, and this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans, the Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks. And that leads me to the final thing that we wanted to accomplish, which is actually set up the process for the technical negotiations that will follow. Our teams working with the Iranians, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock. And then those technical negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come. We wanted to set up a structure for that so that you could have proper political oversight. So look.
Okay. He said a couple things there that I want to address. The one, there's a few things in there. Okay, I'll get to them through the context of this next piece. So this is going to be the main structure of what we're talking about here. This is from WANA today, 5 key takeaways from the joint statement on the Swiss talks. Okay, so there was a joint statement. Let's start with the joint statement. Okay, here's the joint statement. Joint statement by the state of Qatar and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan regarding the conclusion of the Lake Lucerne Summit, first high-level committee meeting with participation of the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran. So this is the official takeaway from this thing, like what was agreed upon. Okay, so it's kind of like MOU document 2 in this saga. Okay, so what was agreed upon? What does it say here? The first session of high-level talks under the framework of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding have concluded in Bergenstock, Switzerland, with the participation of representatives from the Islamic Republic of Iran, the United States of America, and the 2 mediating parties, the state of Qatar and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So there's four countries named here: Iran, the United States, and the mediators, Pakistan, Qatar. Okay, great. The Lake Lucerne Summit was conducted in a positive and constructive atmosphere. Encouraging progress has been made, including the creation of a mechanism for further technical talks. So far, so good. J.D. Vance mentioned that. We have a mechanism for further technical talks. Great. Building on the MOU, the parties have agreed to the establishment of a high-level committee, which will provide political oversight on the mediation on the mediation, chief negotiators will report regularly to the high-level committee and lead working groups focused on nuclear, sanctions, and a monitoring and dispute resolution group to ensure the effective implementation of the MOU and on other matters. Okay, so that's one of the things they agreed upon, is that we have this high-level committee and the negotiators are going to report to them, and that we have working groups on three things: nuclear, sanctions, and dispute resolution, so that we can effectively implement the whole thing. The high-level committee has agreed upon a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within 60 days, laying the foundation for the immediate commencement of further technical talks. In addition, a communication line between the parties has been formed for the period mentioned in paragraph 5 of the MOU to avoid incidents and miscommunication with the aim of safe passage for the commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. This is a word salad. It's referring to clause 5 of the MOU. Let's go back and read clause 5, and then we'll go back and figure out what it's talking about. Clause 5 is about the Straits of Hormuz. And here's what it says. Upon the signing of this MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days only from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman, and vice versa, meaning going through the Straits of Hormuz. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the need for removing the technical and military obstacles and demining by the Islamic Republic of Iran will be instated within 30 days. The Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue with the Sultanate of Oman to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz in discussion with other Persian Gulf littoral states in line with the applicable international law and the sovereign rights of coastal states in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so that's what it says. They're going to open the Straits of Hormuz. They're not going to charge for the first 60 days. And Iran and Oman are going to have dialogue to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so the MOU actually gives control of the Strait of Hormuz to Iran and Oman, which is nuts. Okay? Let's go back to the document. So what did it say there about paragraph 5? Let's read this paragraph again. The high-level committee has agreed upon a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within 60 days, laying the foundation for the immediate commencement of further technical talks. In addition, a communication line between the parties has been formed for the period mentioned in paragraph 5. That's the 60 days. That's the initial 60-day period mentioned in paragraph 5. That's what it says here. The Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements for the safe passage of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days. Okay, through the Straits of Hormuz. So now it's referring to that, and it's saying a communication line between the parties. That's the parties. Who are the parties? United States, Iran, Qatar, Pakistan. Communication line between the parties has been formed for the period mentioned in paragraph 5 of the MOU to avoid incidents and miscommunication with the aim of safe passage of commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. In other words, we don't want there to be skirmishes. We don't want there to be more of what's happened in the last month or so, where vessels get fired upon and whatever. And we're going to have communication. So we've agreed to set up a communication line to facilitate the safe passage to the Strait of Hormuz. That's that clause. Moreover, the parties agreed on the creation of a deconfliction cell between the parties, Pakistan, Qatar, United States, Iran, or maybe just United States, Iran. The Lebanese Republic, okay, they're also involved, facilitated by the mediators. Okay, so if the mediators are Pakistan and Qatar, I guess the parties are the U.S. and Iran. Okay, so U.S., Iran, Lebanon, Lebanese Republic, I mean Lebanon government, Qatar, Pakistan, have a de-escalation cell to ensure the adherence of the termination of military operations in Lebanon as per the MOU. Technical talks will continue for the remainder of the week at the Bergenstock Resort on all issues. You saw J.D. Vance mention that we're going to have some communication to de-escalate in Lebanon. Where's Israel in this? So there's going to be a deconfliction cell, and J.D. Vance elaborated on this in that press conference. Later on in that press conference, I made a video about it earlier. He elaborated on it by saying, yeah, it's going to, this way, if someone fires a rocket, then there can be this communication mechanism where we're talking to each other, and that can de-escalate things, which is just the most absurd thing in the world. Go watch that video. You'll see me ranting about it there. And I go into that issue. I don't want to get bogged down into here. We have much more to do. And then it says the mediating parties will continue to do their utmost to ensure the negotiations continue to be conducted in a constructive atmosphere with the aim of reaching a final deal. The states of Qatar and Pakistan express their sincere appreciation to the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for their ongoing commitment to diplomacy and a peaceful resolution of the conflict. The mediating parties further commend brotherly and friendly countries for their continued support and valuable contribution to the ongoing negotiations. Okay, that's the document. So now, in Iranian state media today, we have 5 key takeaways from the joint statement on the Swiss talks. So this is their analysis of what that document we just read actually says, and it's fascinating. Check this out. The media committee of the Minab 168 negotiating delegation has released a breakdown of the key agreements achieved during the first round of high-level talks in Bergenstock, Switzerland. According to the delegation's official brief, the critical components of the joint statement are structured as follows. Number 1, Iranian inclusion in Lebanon's security architecture. Following intense pressure exerted by the Iranian negotiating team since Saturday evening, a fragile cessation of hostilities has been maintained in Lebanon. To solidify this truce, a new supervisory mechanism named the Deconfliction Unit has been established with Iranian participation, which is true, because it says in there, the parties agreed to creation of a deconfliction cell between the parties and the Lebanese Republic and the mediators, which means, understand what just happened here. They're actually correct that this is in there, and it's insane. What it's saying here is that the Lebanese government is now being, what it's having foisted on it is that if there's an escalation in Lebanon, if Hezbollah starts attacking and Israel attacks them, the Lebanese now are in the room, in the conversation about de-escalating in Lebanon. Talk about linking Lebanon and Iran, which if you go back a few weeks ago, a month ago, Trump was adamant that we're not connecting the two things. They're separate from each other. And the Iranians were connecting them. This is connecting them on steroids. It means that they're creating a mechanism where to deal with what's going on in Lebanon, the Iranians now have a role to play, an official role to play, alongside the Lebanese government. Israel's not in the room. So the Iranians, look what they're doing. They're saying, hey, look, we've been saying all along that we have regional power. And we have regional clout in other countries. And here, this document officially, the formation of this unit officially integrates the Islamic Republic of Iran into Lebanon's security framework, effectively countering months of extensive U.S. efforts to exclude Tehran from Lebanese affairs. This is the opposite of extracting Hezbollah and Iranian influence from Lebanon. It's the opposite of freeing Lebanon from the Iranian grip. It's officially giving Iran more of a grip in what happens in Lebanon. The Israeli regime has been given no role or standing within this newly formed mechanism. This is just ridiculous. But they're right, it's in there. Next, stabilization of Iranian sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Also true. Regarding the management of the Strait of Hormuz, a dedicated communication hotline has been established to facilitate gradual reopening of the strategic waterway. We saw that. That's what it said in that memo. Under the agreement, foreign entities must directly contact Iran to report and resolve any operational or execution issues. This development formally reinforces Iran's sovereign authority and jurisdiction over the Strait of Hormuz. Sad to say it. The negotiators on the American side should be fired. This is ridiculous. They formally are giving Iran a role in the governance of the Strait of Hormuz already. They are formally giving them a role in what goes on in Lebanon. Preconditions for final stage negotiations. 3 specialized working groups focusing on nuclear issues, sanctions, and compliance monitoring, right? It said that in there. Talked about the 3 working groups. We saw that. Will be formed under the joint statement. However, these groups will only commence their operations after the full implementation of Clause 13 in the Memorandum of Understanding. What's Clause 13? So Clause 13 is the clause that says what has to be done first. It's a clause that says that nothing moves forward until 5 paragraphs are fulfilled. 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11. What are 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11? Cessation of hostilities in Lebanon, lifting of the blockade, lifting of sanctions, unfreezing frozen assets, and Iran has to open the Strait of Hormuz. Those are the 5 things that have to happen before anything else. So Iran is now saying, okay, this solidifies the fact that we don't move forward on anything. There's no working groups. Nothing happens until those 5 things happen. And that's what it means. In other words, what they're saying, and it actually makes a lot of sense. They're actually making sense that when it says here that the working groups will be focused on nuclear sanctions and monitoring dispute resolution to ensure the effective implementation of the MOU. And they're saying, okay, what is effective implementation of the MOU? One of the clauses of the MOU is that after signing the MOU, the beginning of implementation is 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11, and that has to be done immediately. So they're saying, okay, this ratifies, this document says that we can enforce that. Clause 13 mandates a comprehensive ceasefire across all fronts, particularly in Lebanon, the lifting of maritime blockade, the initial release of frozen Iranian assets, the formal waiver of its oil, petrochemical, and petroleum derivative sanctions. The Islamic Republic will not enter final stage negotiations until these prerequisites are met. Next, direct agreement on asset release signed with Qatar. So they're saying that during this round of diplomatic sessions, a binding memorandum of understanding specifically detailing the operational execution of the release of frozen Iranian assets was formally signed between the representatives of Iran and Qatar. Fascinating. We didn't hear from J.D. Vance about that they've already agreed on the release of their assets from Qatar. The money is going to start flowing. U.S. Treasury issues 60-day sanction waivers in accordance with Clause 10. That's one of the clauses that has to be implemented immediately of the memorandum. The U.S. Department of Treasury's Office on Foreign Assets Control issued official documents waiving sanctions on Iranian oil, so they're now allowing them to sell their oil. This administrative step allows Iran officially to sell its oil to international customers and receive the revenues. Okay, there you go. And meanwhile, Bagai, because remember, we saw that J.D. Vance said that, oh, great, massive breakthrough. They're allowing the IAEA inspectors to come in and inspect the nuclear program. Look at that. So what is Bagai? Bagai is the foreign ministry spokesman. This dude, he's the foreign ministry spokesman in Iran. What did he make it clear about? He said that Tehran's cooperation with the Atomic Energy Agency will continue under existing procedures and in accordance with parliamentary legislation. Now, what does that mean? I'm not going to read this article. I'll tell you what it means. What it means is that they're saying that we're going to allow them to inspect in the same way that we allowed them to inspect in the past. In the past, the inspectors would only be able to inspect what Iran allowed them to. Iran curated which sites they could see and which sites they could not see, meaning they didn't really agree to this. We'll see how it plays out. This is going to be one of the more interesting plot lines, is now that they've officially agreed and Vance has announced that they agreed to allow inspectors in, let's see what that actually looks like. I'm predicting that is going to be a point of contention. I hope it's not a point of American capitulation. Final thing I want to do in this video is just share this with you. I mentioned before that this MOU shockingly grants authority over the Strait of Hormuz long-term to Oman and Iran. And where is Ghalibaf heading after Geneva? Ghalibaf heads to Muscat for talks with Oman's Sultan. Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf, head of Iran's negotiating delegation, departed Tehran for Muscat, the capital of Oman, on Monday at the head of a senior delegation. According to official sources, Ghalibaf is scheduled to meet with Haytham bin Tariq to discuss ways to expand bilateral cooperation between Tehran and Muscat. The talks are also expected to cover regional developments and joint efforts aimed at strengthening arrangements related to the administration of the Strait of Hormuz. The foreign minister, Araghchi, is accompanying the head of the Iranian negotiating delegation during the visit. So Araghchi's, they left Geneva and headed straight for Oman, because now that they've gotten this ridiculous agreement by the Americans that Oman is going to have a share with Iran in governing the Straits of Hormuz, they want to solidify that. And that's what they're heading off to do now. So the Iranians are not wasting any time. They feel that they've won and they want to solidify their victories. And got to say, their interpretation of what was written in that document looks pretty close to the text itself. So the story's far from over. It's far, far, far from over. But I'm not impressed with the American team so far. We'll see where this is going. Keep watching, folks. Thanks for watching. Please drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And please keep sharing these videos and let people know what we're doing on this channel. God bless.